All right, so this is being recorded. Let's talk about ICS 372, what we will be covering. Well, we have 15 weeks, right? This is week 1, and we will end on week 15. So there will be 3 exams, weeks 5, 10, and 15. So these are exams. You do nothing else those weeks in class. Exam. So when there is an exam in class, we just do the exam, but there will still be some material for you to learn that week. So why did I divide it this way? Why am I saying there are exams here? The reason is in the first 1/3 of the course, we will be covering the basics of object-oriented programming and introduce some new concepts. Especially in design. And of course, programming follows. And here we can divide it like this. So I've divided this into 4 parts. Here we do a case study. We have a second case study here. So this is the first case study, second case study, then third case study, 3, and some advanced concepts at the end. So I could probably divide this course into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. All right. So this lasts about 4 class meetings, 5 weeks basically, and this would be 3 to 4 weeks. This will be maybe 2-3 weeks. This will be another 2 weeks, and then you have a week here. That is the rough division. For a more detailed division of the topics, you have to consult the schedule. And here, in these 3 case studies, we will introduce a number of concepts in design and implementation. So these 3 would probably be about 7, 8 weeks for sure. And we will be introducing a number of concepts that most of you are probably not familiar with, and we will be seeing it in the context of some problems. So it will be much more meaningful rather than introduce a concept just for the sake of concept. We won't do. We will instead see the concept as a good way of solving a problem. But that may not quite be the case in the first 4 weeks. We will be covering some stuff that you already know. We'll be introducing some new concepts, as I said here, but there will not be any specific example which mandates the use of certain concepts. Instead, we will be talking about some concepts and then apply them to some examples. Whereas here we will talk about a problem and then say, okay, there is this concept that we can use here, which is a good idea, or we will talk about some approach and then say, well, there is a theory behind all this, and then talk about the theory. So they will make much more sense. But since all of you know object-oriented programming, I didn't quite see a need for introducing a case study here, right? Instead, we do a lot of review in the first couple of weeks and then introduce some new concepts. So that is the overall plan. By the way, if you have any questions, let me know. All right, I've asked then and there, interrupt me. I like questions. All right, time to take a look at the syllabus.
So group projects or case studies?
Group projects. Okay, there are 3 case studies, and we will have 2 group projects. The first group project will be somewhat similar in spirit to the first case study. The second group project will be somewhat along the lines of the second case study, but of course, different problems. So the first 2 case studies will have corresponding group projects, but the problems will be different. Okay. Does that answer your question?
So I guess I'm still a little confused. So group projects are still something, tasks that we have to do in addition to the case studies?
Correct. The case studies, I show you the problem, I show you the solution. I give you the code, I give you the design, everything.
Oh, okay.
So you understand that, and then employ.
The group project is the actual our implementation side of it.
Yeah, the group project would be actually, you wouldn't be implementing the class projects. Instead, you will be given a separate problem, and then you will have to design and implement that.
Okay.
So it would kind of utilize many of the concepts that we employ in the class project.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so here is the syllabus. I'm not going to spend time on the routine things. The only thing is, please be sure to notice that there are different links for the class exercises. Sorry, for the office hours on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So don't click on the wrong link, and then you will not get a hold of me. Right? And then obviously this is synchronous online class, and attendance is required. So I'll be taking attendance every week, whether I call out your names or not. I will be noting whether you have come or not. And most students learn a considerable amount of material from this course. I think this is one of the most important courses in the major, because it helps you learn object-oriented design and implementation, which is the preferred way of constructing software for a large class of problems. So it is essential to master this material, and you will see lots of interesting ideas and techniques and tools. So you will be utilizing some of the concepts in ICS 240 a little bit, and then you will be building upon those ideas with respect to classes, inheritance, and all that. That would be the starting point. And I have co-authored a book which is what we will use for this semester. And then I will give you lots of additional readings. Some of those will actually replace the book, because we are writing a new edition. It never seems to end, the rewrite, but we keep rewriting the chapters, try to make them better. So we will be I'll be providing you with material from the revised version, because there are lots of new things that we have introduced in the new edition. Now, we meet from 6 to 9:20 every week. And let me tell you that there is not going to be a lecture in the traditional sense. I'm not going to talk about many new concepts in class. Instead, I'll be posting the videos which you must watch, and you must understand that material before coming to class. The class time is meant for highlighting the most important aspects and solving problems. So the first 30 minutes or 40 minutes or maybe up to an hour in rare cases, I will highlight the most important topics of that week, and I will invite questions. We will discuss those topics that you might have difficulties with. And then for the rest of the evening, I will split you into groups of maybe 3, 4 students, or maybe 4 students, and then you will be solving problems. I call them class exercises. So some of you might finish the class exercises by 8 o'clock, then you can leave, or some of you might stay a little longer. That's also fine. Okay. Then there are 3 individual programming assignments which we will do in the first 5-6 weeks. The schedule shows when they are due and those kinds of things. Actually, the first program is out tonight and it is due next Thursday. I'll not spend much time on the program explanation. You read it, and you, especially the first program, it is mighty simple. Many of you should be able to do it in 2 hours. I don't think it is going to be such a challenge, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody is on the same footing with respect to the use of Java and some new stuff that we are going to talk about this evening. Then the second and third projects may be slightly bigger, but they are all individual assignments. You have to do them independently. And following that, there will be 2 group projects, as I said before. The group projects will have anywhere from 3 to 5 students. Each group will have 3 to 5 students, and I do the following to create the groups. If you want to form a group on your own, that's fine. I'll be, and there may be some of you who don't know anyone else. So if that is the case, I would encourage you to meet your classmates, talk to your classmates, understand, and see with whom you would like to work with. What I'm trying to say is we will be having class exercises for the first 4 weeks. The 5th week is the exam, but the first 4 weeks, starting today, you will have class exercises, and you will be assigned to a group randomly. Zoom will decide who you work with, and then try to see whether you would like to work with your group mates. So get to know them. So I assign that responsibility to you to see whether you would like to work with anybody in specifically. What happens is some of the students do that in a very active way. They get to know their group mates, and then they form groups, whereas some others are a little more aloof and they don't really pay much attention to the group projects in the first 4 weeks, or they don't talk to their classmates with a view to form a group. So what I'm saying is you should be eyeing on the group projects in the first 4 weeks. Get to know your classmates. And then we will form the groups in the 6th week. It is it probably takes about 20-30 minutes that evening to actually see who wants to work with whom, and some horse trading and that kind of stuff. Usually groups work well, but if you have difficulties, you have to let me know as things progress. Then we talked about group projects a little bit, assignments a bit, and there are 3 exams. None of the final exam is not cumulative. They are all focused on what happened from the previous exam till that point. So the first exam will be based on what we cover in weeks 1 through 4. Then the second exam will be what we cover on weeks 5 through 9, and so on. So there is no cumulative final. Each exam is going to count the same. So here is how you will be graded. There are 3 assignments worth 50 points each, 150 points for total. There are 2 group projects for a total of 200 points. And these class exercises, there are 12 of them. There are 15 meetings, but 3 of them are for exams. So you have 12 class exercises. Each is worth 20 points. So you have 240 points. Before coming to class, you must watch the videos that are posted, read the book or any readings that you have been assigned, and this will happen when you come in weeks 2, 3, 4, 5 is an exam, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is an exam, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is obviously the 3rd exam. So there are 11 of them. So each is worth 10 points. The quizzes are timed for 30 minutes. So 110 points. And then there are 3 exams for a total of 300. So the whole thing adds up to 1000. And the grade that you get will be based on this table, subject to some constraints that are listed here. What does that mean? Well, let's look at some of these things. The 3 assignments are worth 150 points, and you should get at least 60% from them. For the group projects, you have to get 60%. And for the class exercises, you should get 150 out of 240. For the home quizzes, you have to get 60 out of 110. And for the exams, you have to make at least 50%. So these don't necessarily add up to 680 or any such thing. All right. If you don't get 50% in the exams, or if you don't score 120 points for the group projects, then your grade is not going to be more than a C-. Or if you fail to meet the minimum in the other 3 categories, there are 5 categories here, right? So you have to make 150 here and 120 here. If you don't do that, your grade is not going to be more than a C-. Or if you don't meet the minimum requirement for assignments and class exercises and home quizzes, again, you are not going to get more than a C-. But if you go below the minimum in these 3 categories, assignments, class exercises, and home quizzes, then your grade will be a shade below what you would have gotten otherwise. So
So are you saying that the categories that you have for exam, and can you scroll back up, please?
yeah.
And the group projects, if you don't meet minimum,
Uh-huh.
doesn't matter what the other,
Correct.
numbers are,
Right.
you will still get C minus.
Correct. And some students are very concerned about this. Let me tell you, I don't remember how many sections I have taught. I must have taught at least a dozen sections of this class in the last 7 years. And probably three or four students got penalized because of the exams. 3 or 4 students. That is out of probably about 200 or no, more than 200. About close to some 400 students. So it doesn't happen that often. You have to try hard to be penalized for exams or group projects.
I guess, it depends on how you evaluate your group projects, because group projects can be tricky, depending on how the work is distributed and who's contributing to what level.
Correct.
You can automatically get, I guess in layman's terms, screwed in the deal.
It could happen because some students don't do the work. And if there is a discord between the students in a group, such things can happen. So we have to make sure that every student in a group contributes and work for the common good. And let me also tell you, group projects are considered very important in academia, and it is definitely important at work. And the accreditation agencies, they look for these kinds of things in the curriculum. So we have to have group projects, and it is quite possible. I have had only one group in the last 7 years that did not do a sufficiently good job for group projects. One group. There have been lots of occasions where, not lots of occasions, occasionally there have been
I guess,
let me just finish this.
sorry.
Occasionally there have been strong disagreements and even fights among group members. They have come to me, and I had to step in, and they left with a bitter taste in their mouth with their group classmates, their group mates, but none of them resulted in a bad grade. But there was one case where, as I said before, there was absolutely no problem with the group mates, but they did such a bad job with the group projects because they did not understand the material, and they just wrote a program that had absolutely nothing to do with the techniques that we covered in class. That is not an acceptable way of solving a problem. When you are in 372, you have to work at the level of 372, not at the level of 141, obviously. So that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, go ahead. No,
I was gonna just say, I guess, I understand a lot of those things, but I think the main thing that I'm more worried about, that who keeps track of that, the individuals are, the contribution is equivalent, or in proportion from everybody.
Yeah, what I do is I meet with every group. That is a practice that I started 2-3 semesters ago. You have these class exercises, right? And I put all the members of a single group into the same room to do the class exercise as well. So let's say students 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are in a group. Then I put students 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 into the same room, Zoom room, to do the class exercise. So those members are in the same room. Then I go to when I mean, sometimes they, instead of talking about the class exercise, they talk about the group project. That's fine. But then I make it a point to go into the room and then spend 5 to 10 minutes asking about their progress, who is doing what. So that is an opportunity for you to make sure that everybody is contributing. That is a time when you have to express your concerns, or you could express it outside too, but that is definitely an opportunity. And that is also an opportunity for me to see whether anything unpleasant is going on. But of course, there has been at least 2 cases where students did not express anything when I met with them, but after the first group project, some students wanted to switch groups, and I let them do that. So it is not a perfect process, but we have to have group projects. There is absolutely no other way out. Does that kind of give you a sense of what?
Yes, yes. My only concern was if there's, you know, enough there to for you to work with the individual, if there's accommodation or something needed, if there's substantial stuff that I can show that, okay, I've done my due diligence, but you know, there's so much I can control.
Yeah, there is a limit to, I mean, the trouble with an academic group project is the fact is that there is no boss, right? Everybody is an equal, so you cannot really command somebody. You cannot really say you're supposed to do this kind of work. That is a disadvantage. But if I find that somebody is not contributing, that person will get a lower grade. But for that, there has to be some kind of agreement among the group members that that is indeed the case. It doesn't. I don't take that very lightly. I make sure that everybody is kind of in agreement on that thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Then another thing is that we all have other obligations in life, and sometimes you are not able to meet a deadline, or you make a mistake while submitting something, in the sense you submit an assignment and the file is all empty, you know, that kind of stuff, or it's not readable or whatever. So to take, I mean, when that happens, students ask for ask for some excuse, you know, I mean, but then I would like to treat everybody the same way. So what I have done is, this semester, everybody will have 4 excuses that you can use at any given point in time. You have 4 excuses, that's it. So for example, if you submit assignment 1, you have to submit it as an Eclipse project, and suppose the file is empty, or it is not an Eclipse project, or whatever, right? Then you lose some points. And if that happens, instead of losing the points, you can use an excuse, and then instead of losing 5 points, you lose only 1 excuse, right? Then you have 3 excuses left. Or I require that you have your video and audio on during the class exercises and during exams are a different matter altogether. But during the class exercise, if you don't have your video on, you don't get credit. Okay, I need to see you. But for some reason, you haven't yet procured your webcam, or the webcam is defunct, is broken, then you can use your excuse. Instead of losing 20 points, you just lose one excuse, right? So there are 4 such excuses. You can invoke an excuse at any given point in time, but I have to agree to that as well. I mean, you cannot simply say, I mean, I have to be kind of convinced. But this is not to, I mean, this is not for the purpose of resubmitting an assignment because you got a bad grade. If you get a bad grade, that's it. I mean, if you do a bad job with an assignment, you get it. You can't use an excuse for that. If you do badly in an exam, that's it. You don't use this excuse for that. You also can't use an excuse if I have already posted a solution for something, like whatever that may be, all right? So, and if you have a serious issue, like an illness, which is quite possible these days, then it is a different matter. Then I will consider it separately, right? For example, I hope this doesn't happen. You have to be hospitalized for 2 weeks or whatever. Then I'm not going to use this excuse. I will just give you special consideration, because that's a different matter altogether. This is for normal kinds of things, you know. So I have credited 4 excuses for everybody. Supposing you don't use any of those excuses, I will add 4 points to your total grade. It's not going to count much, but it might help somebody once, I mean, in a blue moon, to go to the next grade level, you know. That might or might not. Most probably that won't happen, but it won't hurt anyway. Exams should be taken in class. Okay, if you have accommodations, that is a different matter. No makeup exams, no makeup assignments. Okay, so you have been in computer science for a while to know that assignments are to be started when given, not the day before, right? Even this first assignment, which is simple enough, but there may be some issues here and there. You don't want to wait until the last minute. And here is a schedule. I hope all the dates and such things are correct. I usually have problems with dates, putting them correctly, but I have checked them and rechecked them, but I don't know. I mean, I make mistakes with these. I hope they are all correct. Then the rest of this is all boilerplate language from the university. I'm not going to go through this, but it is your responsibility to look at that stuff.
Ask a quick question.
Yes.
You mentioned Eclipse, so Eclipse is a requirement?
You have to submit Eclipse projects, yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's a good question. The reason is I have been using IntelliJ IDEA for nearly a year now for other projects that I am doing. And it is a much better editor in terms of prompts and those kinds of things. But since the rest of the department is still using Eclipse, I didn't want to switch. That is the reason.
Okay.
The only place where I don't like IntelliJ IDEA is the flagging of errors. I think Eclipse is a little better, but the other program is much better for prompts and faster typing of programs.
That's what I used to. I kind of like
yeah,
it. But
I think
yeah.
it's
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's a remarkable editor. It
Does
is.
any, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Does anyone know of like any shortcut equivalents that IntelliJ uses that you can find or use in Eclipse? Because I was trying to find some today and I was only able to find a few.
Yeah, I just downloaded Eclipse today just because to prep for this class, and yeah, there's some very similar shortcuts that IntelliJ would have for like getter methods and setters and things like that, including constructors as well.
I see. Do you have like a list or anything, or where I could possibly find those, or?
I'm on a Mac, so it might be different for Windows users. Go ahead and hate me. I believe I can't remember exactly where I found it. I was just kind of exploring around, and I did find them somewhere. Oh, so once you have Eclipse downloaded, it'll be under a tab called Source,
Oh, okay.
and then it'll just. Sorry, I accidentally muted. There'll be like a list of different kind of like generated methods you can create for yourself.
You can do that in Eclipse too. Generate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. I see
Getters,
it. Generate getters,
constructors.
setters.
Eclipse is no inferior in that respect. Where I think IntelliJ IDEA score is heads and shoulders above Eclipse is in terms of the prompts. For example, if you begin a variable name, it immediately gets the right set of variables for you, whereas Eclipse is quite lousy in that regard. And sometimes I feel that IntelliJ IDEA is reading my mind. I mean, it might be an exaggeration, but you kind of get that sense once in a while.
It's very
Yeah,
polished.
definitely. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. Yes, the community edition is free, and I recommend everybody to try it. Somebody was saying there is something called My Eclipse, which is pretty good, but I haven't used it, so I can't really say anything.
I've used it, but IntelliJ is still better.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I highly recommend that, but I don't want to switch to it because then it will be not in line with the rest of the department. That is the only reason. Or maybe I can switch it in a different semester. I don't know. I'll tell the department to change the, but I don't know. It has to go to the university, and then they might have trouble downloading it because I don't know what the license issues are.
The licensing is not bad, actually. If you're a student, they give you for the course of your study free license.
Okay.
So on my first one, they gave me a year one expired. I provided information that I'm still a student, the reissued one.
Yeah, I use the community edition, which is free anyway. But what I'm worried about is whether the university will install the community edition. I don't know what what I don't know the IT policies regarding.
Okay.
So yeah.
They might require like a enterprise one for like the school to use for all the teachers or something.
Yeah, they might. Yeah. Right. But I have had trouble with IntelliJ IDEA when I try to use Maven or Gradle, but I have had problems with Eclipse too. So it may be my lack of knowledge of some of those tools that is causing the problem. But I had asked some others too, and they also have had problems. But that is common to both IDEs. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about, since we talked about Eclipse, let's talk a little bit about certain aspects of Eclipse. And after that, we will go to the class exercise. Let me close this. Let's go back to the table of contents and show you some stuff before we do Eclipse. All right. These are all obviously D2L folders. The assignments will be posted here. So the first assignment is here, and there you should actually watch these videos and look at the coding standards. And let me tell you ahead of time, I'm very picky about documentation and coding standards. If you don't follow the requirements given in the coding standards, you will lose points. You have to document every class and every method unless they are getters or setters or overrides. Those are easy points I don't want you to lose. You cannot use single letter variables unless they are things like X or Y, which are actually coordinate points, right? If you use I, J, K and all that, you will lose points when I grade your assignments or group projects. So don't do those things.
I have a question regarding the like one character like variables. So like, could we like, if we're utilizing like for loops, could we name our like inner like variable loops like I and J?
No.
Okay, thank
You
you.
have to use things like index or position or whatever. Yeah. And I will show you some Eclipse tricks. They're all there in this video, but I'll at least point you in the right direction. I don't want to spend a lot of time repeating what are in these videos. Okay. Then I posted some readings here, but I'm going to change some of these things. You are not able to see all of these. I'm going to change some stuff, so that's why I hid them. So like the library design document, that is the first case study. I'm modifying it, so I'm hiding whatever is in here, but some of the other things I'm not going to modify. So for next week, you should probably read chapter 2. This is a much better version of some of the earlier stuff in the book. I mean, this is the new chapter 2. And I will be posting new versions of these 3 documents. So that's why you are not able to see that. Then I'll be posting lectures. Week 1, unfortunately, is somewhere at the end because of the way Eclipse, D2L is arranging these for whatever reason. And I'm not sure how to reorder these things. Maybe I can reorder here. I don't know. So next week, you should, before coming next week, you should watch the videos under week 2 and look at the PowerPoint and then answer the quiz. And such things should be happening every week. I'll be posting implementations of the class project here, and they might be very useful for you when you actually implement your group projects. When exams are going on, I'll be posting relevant stuff into these folders. Okay. Then under assessments, you have 2 important, actually 3 important things. One is grades, obviously. I'm not going to click on that. And then there is assignments where you will actually be submitting assignments, right? You are all familiar with it, I suppose. There are 2 group projects and 3 assignments. So you have drop boxes for them. Then there will be quizzes coming your way for class exercises and before class quizzes. They will all be here under quizzes. All right. That's about D2L. Let me spend a few minutes on Eclipse, and then I wanted to cover a topic which will be very useful for you when you do your class exercise. I'm not going to talk about classes and objects and interfaces or any of that. You have seen all that. I have videos for all that. You watch those videos. If you have questions, you can ask me when the class exercises are going on, but I want to talk about things that you may not have seen before. So for that, I am going to close this share and start a new one. I want to show you Eclipse. Okay. So share the Eclipse screen. All right. If you are creating a new project, okay, you will click File, New. Oh, maybe you are not able to see this. Some of these things. Let me go ahead and share the old desktop. That will be better. Okay. When you want to create a new project, you write click File, New, and Java project. But this semester, I am introducing modules into this course. So what is a module? A module is a collection of packages. I hadn't learned modules, I mean, to any great extent until this summer. I learned a little more about modules, and I wanted to introduce that into this class. I don't claim myself to be an expert on it, but it is definitely worth learning. So I'm introducing this, the concept of modules in this class. So let's see how to create modules, what their benefits are. We'll get the overview now, and we will learn more as we progress through the course. So when you create a Java project, let's give it a name like P1, all right? And click Next. We are going to, normally, if you don't do anything else, Eclipse will put all the source files in this folder called SRC. We are not going to let Eclipse do that. So I'm going to right click here, and I'm saying remove from build path. So Eclipse will not store the source files in this. Instead, I will click here, create new source folder. And now I need to talk a little bit before I type in anything. We are going to create modules. What do we mean by a module? A module in Java is a collection of packages, and modules must be unique. If you create a module and release and kind of make it available to the rest of the world, it has to have a unique name. So how do you create a unique name? The recommendation is to go like this. You have a reverse domain name like edu.metrostate.ics 372. Okay, you can go on like this. How many levels do you want to go? Whatever, right? You could go on like this. Fall 2021 dot. We have two sections, right? Section 1 dot. Maybe let's stop at this P1, all right? But of course, this would clash with your friend's module. So maybe John dot, or maybe John dot P1, like this. So what I mean is P1, the program or the module P1 for John in the section 1 of fall 2021 of ICS 372 of Metro State, which is in EDU. This might result in a unique module name, but I'm going to not worry about such a long thing, but still keep in the same spirit. I could write something like this. Right. Let me just stop at that because the other one was too many characters. I don't want to do that. But this is the idea, edu.ics372.p1. So that is a module. So I'm typing this module name here, but you can see I'm not being asked for a module name. I'm being asked for a folder name. So what is the idea? Okay. So maybe I will switch to a different, I'll go ahead and share the whiteboard. So I would like, suppose I am having packages pack 1, pack 2, and pack 3. I create 3 packages in my project and I put them into a module called, that is what I want to do, okay? We are not there yet. I would like to put them into a module called edu.ics372.p1. So that is the module name. So once again, I have a module. I would like to have a module called edu.ics372.p1. And I'm hoping that is going to be a unique name. We are not going to distribute this to the world. So let's not worry too much about whether this is going to be unique. Somebody had a question?
Yeah, can I ask? I was going to ask a quick question. Doesn't
sure.
packages also have unique path exactly the same way that you're putting it for the module?
Yeah. You would like to make them unique, but here you don't have to worry too much about it, about that aspect, because yeah, you would like to make them unique. The Java recommends that, but here it is the modules that are going to be unique, right? I'm not sure that packages need to be. I mean, we'll see how to name packages now in a second. Okay. So
I guess I'm kind of struggling to understand what's the value of a module versus package.
We'll learn that over a course of time, but I will give you an idea as to what the value of modules. Okay, I'll talk about that a little bit tonight. We will see much more when we do our first class project.
Okay.
I'll talk about it a little bit tonight, but I don't want to talk about everything in one sitting. It may not be all that understandable. Okay, so suppose this is my goal, then what I will have is, obviously I need to create my sources. So I have to have a folder for that. I need to keep my class files. I need to have my packages. So the convention is to use, if you want to use this module name, the source folder is named the same. The root of the source folder, okay, is going to be, so you will have a project, let's call it my project. So under that, there will be a folder called edu.ics372.p1, which is the same name as the module name. And just for uniformity, we will put the binary files also in a module, in a folder that is under, that is 372.p1. And what Java recommends is that the topmost package also be named edu.ics372.p1. Okay, so we are going to reuse this in 3 other settings as well. Now, to the question as to what benefit modules provide, one of the big benefits is this. Suppose you have 3 packages, pack 1, pack 2, and pack 3 in this module. Now, I need pack 1 and pack 2, and they may have some very sensitive code. I don't want other people to be accessing the classes and interfaces or anything in these packages. Suppose pack3 is the only one I want to expose to the rest of the world. Then I can do that all through the module declarations. You will have a module file in which you say only pack3 can be exported. So others are unable to see pack1 or pack2. Even if you have public classes and interfaces, they will not be visible from the outside world. So you can have cleaner or more powerful encapsulation of things. Also, modules provide other benefits like missing modules can be more easily, missing packages can be more easily spotted, duplicate packages can be spotted, etc., etc. So it provides more encapsulation, more reliable configurations of the executable files and so on. So let me go ahead and close this. Any questions before we continue? Oops, what am I doing here? Stop share. All right, now going back to the project. Yeah, here. All right, so what I did was I said the sources should be in the same, I mean, in a similarly named folder as the module, because my goal was to create a module called edu.ics372.p1. So the source file should be in the same, should be in a folder with the same name. No, oops. Okay, I need to share the desktop. Okay, so you can see now that it has created this folder edu.ics372.p1. And I will put here at the bottom, you can see project p1/bin. That is where all the class files would go. I'm going to put edu.ics372.p1. Then I click finish. And now I have to provide the module name, which I have decided would be edu.ics372.p1. Create. Now, the project has been created. You can see that Java has created the skeleton of a module file, module edu.ics372.p1. And here I can, we are not going to do it tonight, but here I can provide all kinds of things saying what packages can be exported, what packages this would need, what packages can be reflected upon, etc., so that the module has the right kind of exposure to the outside world. But I'm not going to write anything here. And now I would create a new package, which is also the same name, edu.ics372.p1. I hope I typed it right. So don't get confused between these two. This is the folder name, and here is the package name. So to create a class, I would do like this: new class. Let's call it my class or something. And I will put a main folder, main method. And here I will have some simple such thing. And of course, this will execute, not a problem. Yeah, and it printed hello. Due to lack of time, I'm not going to show you here how to create an executable. You will do that during the class exercise. At that time, I will help you if you get stuck. Okay, so you can actually create a file that can be executed without having the IDE, and I will show you how to do that later. And you will, what was I going to say? Something came to my mind a second ago. Maybe it will come a little later. In any case, do a couple of other things. Do yourself a favor by doing this. This is going to be different on Windows, slightly different. Instead of clicking Eclipse, you will probably click Window, all right? In Mac, you will click Eclipse and then go to Preferences. Do two things. One is, do one thing. It is only me who needs to do the second thing. So click on Java and then click on, let me see here, is it code? Editor, expand editor, click on Save Actions. And if you go there, this will be unchecked. Check on it, check this. This will format the source upon save. It is an easy thing to do. It takes less than a minute to carry out this. Then what happens is, apply and close. What will happen is, if I badly format the code like this, and when I save it, it will automatically get formatted. And I place a lot of emphasis on this. So if you don't format your code, you lose points. So please don't lose points because of bad formatting. All you need to do is set that once for the workspace. If you go to a different workspace, you have to set it again. But on Windows, I believe you have to go to the window menu item, window menu rather. Now, the other things I'm going to just show you briefly. Suppose I have I'm just inventing some variable name, right? Private int counter, private int length, some such, whatever comes to my mind. Now, if I have these two fields, I can easily create getters and setters, constructor. So, for example, I can create a constructor very easily using this, and I can create getters and setters, source. You just experiment with these things. Then,
Can I ask a quick question?
yeah.
So when you say you're picky in formatting, so I mean, having additional line or having no line, that's a deduction too. So like if you go on top of your code, right after class, there's no space, or if somebody does have a space, I guess what would be the preference there?
I have expanded those kinds of things in my coding standards document. Generally, whatever Eclipse does is Eclipse follows the Java conventions. So there has to be a space between tokens, but nothing before a comma, but one space after a comma. So look at the coding standards document. Okay, the space before and after equals, for example. And I'm clicking save here. You can see that it will get formatted. All right. Then you can generate getters and setters. You can generate hash code and equals. But the only thing is, when you create equals and hash code, do one thing. Let me go back here. Let me create it again. Source, generate hash code and equals. Use blocks in if statements. Make sure that it is clicked, so that it provides these blocks for after every if. And I don't want things to be named RBJ. So if you want to change this name, right click this and refactor, rename, and change this to object and hit enter. All the stuff has been changed. So if you happen to name something I, and if you want to change it to index, all you need to do is right click it and then change to index. Everywhere it will get changed. Right? So that is how you, I mean, some of the tricks using Eclipse. I would encourage you to use this because to generate the constructors and getters and setters, because you are now in ICS 372. Your effort should be focused on more important things, not write getters and setters and simple constructors like this. Don't waste your time on those things. Spend it on more interesting learning activities. Okay, that's pretty much it. I didn't talk anything about classes and constructors and any of that, because I assume that you are familiar with those things, and you are. But if you have any questions, you can ask them during the class exercise. Any questions that you have now? I'm going to take attendance today, and I'll be reading your names. If I mispronounce your name, please forgive me. Let me know how to pronounce your name. I'll try to remember that next time and correct myself. And I'm going to stop recording now.